you're going to tackle a plumbing DIY, then it's essential to have the right tools. There are general tools and copper pipe tools that you are going to need to tackle each job. Let's have a look at the individual tools and their uses. The first tool to show you is a pipe wrench. Now remember, first thing, you do not use these on nuts, otherwise you will damage them. They're designed to be used on thick walled pipes and couplings. It's a good idea to keep two of them in your toolbox. You're going to use one on the pipe and the other one you're actually going to pull towards you. That way you're not going to slip, you're not going to damage your knuckles. If it's the other way, you're going to damage your knuckles on any other thing in the way. The next tool is a basin or sink wrench. Now these are ideal for getting up into the gaps behind the sink where you can't actually get your hands or another tool. It's pretty straightforward. It's got a shank over there with jaws which open and close, which are going to lock onto the nut. So basically that's going to go up behind the sink and then you're going to turn it at the bottom. It's a good idea to keep two of these so that you can put the other one right at the top, lock it onto this tap or the coupling, and you can undo the nut. Another suitable tool is an adjustable wrench or a shifting spanner. Pretty straightforward. You can just adjust the jaws to whatever size nut that you have and make sure you've got the right size before you use the tool. The next tool is basically a slip joint pliers or a water pump pliers. Pretty straightforward. You can actually adjust the jaws to the different size of the application that you need. Pretty great. You do get different sizes and different types. For example, this type here comes with a push button. So you actually push the button and then you just slide it up and down to whatever size that you actually want. And then you clamp it tight onto the application that you need to use it for. Often plumbing work needs to be done in dark spaces. Make sure you have a headlamp or torch to make the job easier. When it comes to tap washers, they come in a range of different sizes. That's why it's always a good idea to actually have a whole stock load on hand of all the different sizes that they have available. That way on a Sunday afternoon when you need to fix a leaking tap, you haven't got to shoot down to the hardware store to sort it out, you've got them on hand. The next tool is the Bosch PDO6. Fantastic tool. It's a metal detector designed to pick up wires and pipes in your walls so that you don't drill into them and actually cause damage to your property. Turn it on. As you pull the meter across, you'll see the sensor going up and down depending how close you are to the metal. As you pull it away, you'll see the sensor goes down. As you pull it close, it goes up. This is a caulking gun designed to evenly disperse silicone sealer, adhesive or filler. Plumber's tape, thread tape or PTFE tape is designed to wrap around the male threads. It's just a tape, it's not adhesive, it's not sticky, and it actually seals to stop the water from leaking through the threads. Basically just wind your coupling or your fitting over the top, tighten it up, and then away you go. That'll seal that joint. First of all, let's look at the safety equipment that you do need. We're going to be using a flame, so first of all, let's get some safety goggles on. Now these are actually tinted so that you can actually look at the flame for longer and it's not going to actually hurt your eyes. Obviously the pipes are going to be really hot, so it's a good idea to wear a pair of gloves. Now these gloves, you can see, I've actually got extra length, so it's actually going to protect my forearms. If you don't have long gloves, you can actually just make sure you're wearing a long sleeve shirt, which is obviously not flammable. If you're going to be using copper pipe, you are going to need a specialized set of tools. For starters, we've got a pipe cutter or a tube cutter. This has got a little rolling wheel and some rollers on top there which you can adjust to whatever size pipe you want. And basically you tighten that up, turn it around, and it cuts the pipe at the same time. It's also got a deburring tool so that you can get rid of all the burrs and the flares on the inside of the pipe. We'll show you exactly how to use that now. Pretty straightforward. Take your copper pipe. This is a 1/2 inch pipe, also known as a 15mm pipe. Basically you're going to open it up, screw that on. Now I'm not going to screw it all the way down, just give it a gentle nip, hold it tight and turn it around. You'll see it goes around very easily. 1 or 2 turns, tighten it a little bit more and around again. Another tighten. You keep doing this over and over again and eventually you'll see the pipe actually breaks off. Here's our 2 little pieces. Now if you look closely, you can actually see how it's actually burred in. So you actually want to open that up. It just stops a lot of turbulence in the pipe. So we're going to open this guy up here. Put that in there, hold that tight, and just turn it around. You can actually use the end of a long nose pliers inside here. It'll achieve the same effect, but this tool has really got it there for you to use. We're going to introduce you into soldering on a copper pipe in a minute, but beforehand we've got to show you the preparation that you have to do, and that means cleaning it to make sure that solder actually sticks. So you're going to use some emery paper or a scourer to actually clean the copper up. Here on this piece of copper here, you'll see it's a new piece of copper and it looks pretty clean. But when you take the paper or the emery cloth, you give it a good rub, you'll see the difference that it actually comes up to. It's much cleaner than what you had beforehand. Now you're going to do the exact same application for whatever you're going to be fitting onto this pipe. Whether it's a coupler, a joiner, it's important that you also clean on the inside of these. Now for those difficult areas to get to, you can actually use a wire brush to get in there, clean it up as much as you can. Get in there with some fine paper or an emery cloth and just give it a good clean inside there. It's going to make sure that you get a good seal and you don't get any leaks. The first tool is a soldering torch. Now this is quite different to a soldering iron, whereas this puts out a hot flame to heat up the pipe. We've then got your solder. Good idea to actually stretch this out when you use it. And the most important ingredient in this mix is the stuff called flux. What this does is actually helps clean the joint when you're applying the flame, and it also helps the solder bond into the gap of the actual joint to make sure that it seals correctly. Okay, we're going to show you exactly how to do it. Remember I said about the flux, it's important that you get it on the pipe and it seals completely. So I'm just going to wind it a little bit over there. And you go all the way up around about 2 centimeters, 1.5 centimeters. There's my coupling, and I need to get inside of the coupling as well. So I'm just going to make sure it gets all inside there. Move it all around a few times. See, I've got plenty on there. Right, that's it, that's in place. Now we'll put that down over there. Pretty straightforward. We're going to light up our torch now and we're going to apply our solder. Now how we're going to apply the torch is on the bottom, heat it up on the bottom on the copper and the coupling. Once that's hot, the heat of the metal will actually melt the solder, not the actual flame. So we'll take the flame away, we'll put the solder in. And what actually happens, it works on a capillary action. That solder will go in, penetrate that gap, and the capillary action will cause it to seal that whole entire area. To make sure you have got it right, you'll see the flux actually boiling, then you know it's just about time to actually apply the solder. I always find it's a good idea to give that a dip in there as well and keep it quite long so you haven't got to keep your hand too close to the flame. Then we're going to light our flame. There you have it, it's as simple as that. You see I applied the solder only at the top, the heat at the bottom, took the heat away, and that solder actually used the capillary action and went all the way around and sealed that joint. You can see it's all the way around there. Good idea, leave that to cool and you can clean it up with an emery cloth and then you're up and away. Remember, water and electricity are a dangerous combination, so call in a professional to install a geyser, which involves the use of both. Before you start your job, make sure you gather all the tools that you need to get cracking. When working with wastewater, always make sure that you wash your hands and your tools after the job to make sure they are clean and sanitized. When soldering, always remember to use gloves. The pipe is going to be hot, and not to mention the solder is liquid molten metal, so it can really burn you if it gets in contact with your skin. When using the torch, always light the torch away from you so that it doesn't burn you and doesn't burn anybody else around you. When you're finished with the torch, it is going to still be hot, so before you pack it away in the cupboard, allow it to cool down somewhere safe, and then you can pack it and store it away neatly. When soldering with a flame torch, you've got to make sure that you have a fire extinguisher or a bucket of water nearby to put out any fires that can spark up. Remember, if you need any advice of what tools you need for your plumbing job, go down and see the guys at Builders and they can show you the full range that you will need.